That's the thing with these marks. Wrestling has to be your life 100% more important than anything else in your life. And all of a sudden, when you're somebody that says, wait a minute, it's a part of my life, no question about it, it ain't the whole enchilada.
No.
Now they've got a problem with you because they can't understand why wrestling isn't your everything.
All right, let's talk about Pat McAfee is really upset at the wrestling community. He's upset at the IWC. He said, I was getting pretty exhausted. I produce and host a 5-day week show. Have been on the go every week since Dublin last year before college football. Plus, I run my growing company with 14 employees, have a 2-year-old daughter. And then he was doing a lot of comments of the IWE. He was screenshotting a lot of reactions from the IWE and trolling, but also saying, hey, this is the IWC for you, presenting it that way as far as just people being heartless. He said, you're not exhausted enough, B. Need you to take a dirt nap. The IWC, Internet Wrestling Community. Laugh emojis. Thank you all so much. Excited for the future of my life. Followed by several screenshots of people's comments, several of them. So with that being said, let me ask you this, Vince. Pat McAfee, he's just became a renaissance man in the media and the sports media community, entrepreneur, very successful. It's interesting because I was reading one of the comments and one was like, hold on, when did we stop liking Pat McAfee? I was like, that's a really interesting point. But what's your take on the IWC when it comes to now Pat McAfee's a heel after everybody's saying, everybody was excited about him and Cole and him coming back at Saturday Night's Main Event earlier this year.
It's what I always say, bro. And it's, a lot why, I'm in the spot I am. Pat McAfee has made it clear by saying this and doing this, he doesn't, eat, sleep, breathe, crap, piss, professional wrestling. He's got a life. He rattled off his life. He does his own podcast. He's on ESPN. He's got a 2-year-old daughter. He's got wrestling, bro, that's the thing with these marks. Wrestling has to be your life 100% more important than anything else in your life. And all of a sudden, when you're somebody that says, wait a minute, it's a part of my life, no question about it, it ain't the whole enchilada.
No.
Now they've got a problem with you because they can't understand why wrestling isn't your everything. They can't understand that. Bro, Chris, I just want to sidetrack a little bit. I got to tell you a story. Bro, for the last 10 years, they've had me on and off on Busted Open. Okay? And for the last 10 years, Dave LaGreca has been telling me, if we ever go 24/7, you're the first person I'm going to call. Okay? Well, Busted Open just went 24/7. Okay? My tag team partner is on Busted Open, the coach. Vince Russo is not on Busted Open. And from what I've gathered, my name was on the table. My name was brought up in discussion. But how can we have a guy on the show that says he doesn't watch wrestling? How can we have a guy on the show that isn't watching all these shows that's saying at 65 years old he's no longer? How can we have somebody? First of all, I swear to God, honestly, I am the only guy that says I don't watch all this crap because I have a life. I do other things. There are other things more important to me, and wrestling is not my be-all, end-all. I'm the only one that says that. There are so many people, so many of my colleagues, Chris, you know it. Bro, they watch the highlights. That's what they're not sitting through 3-hour shows in NXT and Evolve and this, that, and the other thing. And, I'm the only person that's saying, no, I'm not watching all of wrestling on TV. And bro, quite frankly, that was a big reason why they didn't give me the job. And I got to be honest with you, man, if that's the criteria, and if they would have said to me, Vince, we're going to give you a spot on Busted Open, but you have to watch every single show. If that was asked of me and presented to me, I would have said, no, thank you. Like, there's just no way. And I mean, that's what McAfee is saying. I needed a break from this. I've got a lot of things going on. I got a real life. But when it comes to those people that are so entrenched in the business, if wrestling isn't your be all end all, Chris, you can't be part of the cult, man.
Cult, exactly.
Yeah.
What do you say to the wrestling fans who are so absorbed with this product that they can't even think about someone having a life outside of WWE?
Chris,
what do you say about that?
This is what I say. And Chris, I promise you this is going to happen to every single one of them. Every single one of them. And I say this to the people that Busted Open that say, oh no, wrestling isn't Vince Russo's life. Bro, when you're putting so much emphasis on something that does not matter, because let's face it, man, for people in the industry, not to even talk about the fans, people in the industry, bro, it's a job. It's a job. At the end of the day, that's really all it is. That's you're earning an income, you're making a living. It's a job. So when you're putting everything you have, your time, your energy, all your attention on something that really doesn't matter, bro, I promise you're neglecting the things that do matter. You are, because you're not paying attention to something. No. If all your attention is going here. And those are the things that matter the most. And I really do believe, Chris, that in time, people figure that out.
Would you consider the pro wrestling community as a whole obsessed?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Without a shadow of a doubt. Absolutely.
What are some things that you've noticed or observed just within the past 5 years that would constitute obsession?
Bro, the easiest thing to go to, Chris, is they do no wrong. Like if you are a fan of the WWE, they do no wrong. That's obsession. Bro, Chris, you and I know there's one being in the history of mankind that did no wrong. One. And Chris, we ain't him. We're not him. So let me tell you something. As great as Triple H is, guys, there's going to be some duds. But yes. when they do nothing wrong, that's an obsession. I mean, come on, Chris. You and I love music. We both have our favorite artist. Bro, when that artist puts out a clinker of an album, we're going to say it's a clinker. We're going to say, maybe not your best work.
Yep.
But when all it is 100% great, you're obsessed.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like there's a way out either, man. It just seems like in the more...
You know what the way out is, Chris? Here's the way out. Here's the way out when reality slaps them in the face. Bro, I'm telling Chris, I am so grateful for the day Vince McMahon said to me, hire a nanny to watch your kids. That was reality slapping me in the face. It really was. That was my wake-up call. And I thank him for that. I am so glad that happened, because at that point in time, Chris, I was so entrenched in my work. Yeah. My family was on the back burner. I'm ashamed to say that now, Chris, but that's the reality. And him saying that to me woke me up. And then when I went to WCW, it ain't going to be that way anymore. It's not going to be that way anymore.
I think that's apples to oranges, though, as far as you as a worker. Yes, there's a way out, but it's hard to argue something like that causing a modern day wrestling fan a representation of the modern day wrestling fan to go out. Like, I can see, Vince, that if they were married to someone and the wife said me or wrestling, they would choose wrestling. Like,
yeah,
we
saw that. There was a case,
yeah.
there was a case of that a couple of weeks ago where somebody's marriage broke up. Bro, we had a clip on castrating the marks a couple of weeks ago. Bro, they had a wrestler do a run-in at a wedding while they were doing their vows. And like, you know, me and Jeff Lane are looking at this and we're like, do you understand you're going to have this tape for the rest of your life? Like, you're going to want this when you guys are 60, 70 years old. But they literally had a wrestler run in and interrupt the ceremony. Bro, you got issues. Like, you got real issues if you're doing that, man.
Yeah. There's a psychological regression that comes with that, man. It's like, yes, you know, we're fans, and there's sports, you know, you baseball, me college football. Our fandom does create a sense of being a kid again, in a sense, when it comes to cheering, because we don't have any type of monetary investment in it. It's completely psychological when it comes to our investment. But here's the thing, that this is what differentiates the children from the adults. The children look at something and they're fans of it, and they're like, oh man, whatever this person does is great because it's, you know, I'm such a fan. I'm blinded, you know, to the reality of my fandom. An adult is, dude, that was a dud. You know, that was horrible. That was bad. The type of rational behavior in an adult mind, when you think about your prefrontal cortex, for instance, and when you have that ability to make more rational decisions as an adult, when you're a fan, you're more critical. You want your team to win. You have that type of personal investment in that win, that you can be like, man, why in the world would you strike out when his base is loaded, bottom of the ninth? Like, that was horrible, man. That was bad. You didn't know that was going to curl. You didn't know that was out of the pitcher's box. Like, those things are the types of things that you're like, why in the world did you swing to that? Like, I bet you that you would regret if you had 100 swings, the other 99 you wouldn't swing when it's that low and right. But now you start to swing because you're petrified, because you flaked out, or you got, you know, that you froze, basically, when you had that much pressure on you. A child isn't going to think that way, right? A child isn't going to think about what was at stake for that swing. A child's going to be like, oh, okay, well, let's just have a great time next game, right? That's a childlike mentality. Versus an adult, we're like, man, what in the world is going on, man? Yeah. Don't put him in next game. Yeah. That's the type of mentality that we have, because we want to push each other to be better. That's how mature people think. Mm-hmm. But to your point, Vince, it's a childlike mentality. It's every move we cheer, every city we cheer, every price increase we cheer, every type of nook and cranny, you got our support. And I did a class on Pancakes and Power Slams about ticket sales and just the demographic. Like, there's a study that came out 5 years ago that half of the people from the survey consider WWE very favorable, compared to double considered it very unfavorable. So it was like 11%. So it showed how niche the audience is, but the prices are increasing because of that childlike mentality. Oh, okay, well, the tickets are up, but I gotta make that show. You know what I mean? So I think that it's going to be hard for people like us outside the bubble to try to rationalize with that childlike fandom, because it doesn't matter what type of logic we bring. It doesn't matter what type of logic Pat McAfee brings, as far as the fact that he has a family to feed and he's burnt out That's literally a psychological condition of burnout. He talks about how he's burned out. People don't think about that logically. They say, oh, you're not affiliate yourself with wrestling. Okay, see ya, bye. You're not a part of the cult. So it's definitely something, man, that goes way beyond the wrestling bubble. And people thinking about that with real lives are like, see, that's the reason why these fans are just loony in the first.
Yeah, Chris, I swear, I got to tell you, man, I've been I'm like you. I've been a Giant fan since 1970. So I don't even know how many years it is. They're 55 years, right? Mm-hmm. On Monday night, they lost to the last place Marlins. Yesterday, they're losing again to the last place Marlins. I turned the game off in about the 5th inning. They lost that game. Today was game 3, Chris. I didn't watch the game at all.
Yeah.
I've been a fan for 55 freaking years, guys. 55 years, but it's exactly what Chris said. Like, are you kidding me? You're going to get swept by the last place team at home?
Yes.
And I'm going to sit here and watch you? Yeah. Like to me, that's normal. Like, that's if you're not so disgusted at that point. But Chris, that leads to the question. That leads the question. I'm watching a product, and from a writing perspective, I know this is really bad. Do these people really believe this is good? Because that's the difference. I'm shutting off the Giants because they stink, and I could tell they stink by the score. Okay, if the other team scores more runs than you lose, you stink. There's no score here. So my question is, do they really believe they're watching something good?
Them as the fans?
Yes.
The action part, yes. Because we've changed the emphasis from the characters to the in-ring work, which is the reason why there's a dozen people on the injury list right now. And so because the fans are looking at you don't get a lot of pops. The pop is bigger and it's more valuable when there's time and there's story. The pop at the end, I mean, you said this, and we talked about the pop, and you said the origin of the pop as far as just, it was like a climax, standpoint. Think about that when it comes to like sexual activity, right? Like there's a lot of work going on before that pop at the end, right? Mm-hmm. But when you're popping, like think about your girl, if you keep popping like and she's like, hold on, man. Like, all these jagged, type of like, what the heck is going on? You know what I mean? And it's like, that's what we've got so sensationalized, and we've gotten so addicted to the little mini pops, but we're not realizing how much is looking bad on the outside world, and that person gets the reputation of popping after every little motion, right? Yeah, and it's like, you won't go in the real world. You're not going to get far if you're known as the guy who's popping after every little motion, right? Like if that person, hey man, like Ric Flair said, when it comes to Space Mountain, right? Longest line, what do you say? Otis line, longest ride, right? And so that's the type of like 60-minute man type of Ric Flair, like that. You get the pop at the end, right? And that's the development that it should be when it comes to just a normal, functional type of mind and pop at the end, and just setting up and foreplay and all that stuff, right? If you think of a pop from a sexual activity, there's levels to this thing. Yeah. Man. But in between, it's like.
And what you're talking about is how a show used to be written.
Absolutely.
A show used to be written for the big pop at the end. That's how the 2 hours was written.
Yeah, and that's how it should be, man. But we're like, oh, go. And she's like, what? So
very good. Very good.
And that's essentially what we're getting, man. And we're having a bunch of people in communities like, hey, I popped after 2 minutes. And like, everybody, I popped after 1. And like the people outside the bubble looking at this conversation like, that's a flex? Like, that's not a flex to pop after 2 minutes. Like, what are we doing here? So that's the type of community that we're dealing with right now with pro wrestling, man.